I didn't have to worry about floor plans. I didn't have to worry about feng shui. I didn't have to worry about anything. It was like, this is how much the house is. This is how much repairs it needs. This is how much it rents for. Okay, buy it.
Okie dokie, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to the Wise Agent Society Weekly National Real Estate News. We have a very honorable and amazing guest, my longtime friend and associate, Sherwin Escanuela from Las Vegas. Well, he's not from Las Vegas, officially from the Philippines. We already got that out of the way. And then San Diego, but now Las Vegas for a long time. Right, Sherwin?
I'm legal, man. I'm legal.
Well, thank goodness for that.
So yes, well, coming out through. So you already, for the people that know me, already when you said honorable, you already lost all credibility.
All credibility. Yeah, they know better. Yeah. David Brownell's on. He's shaking his head like, yeah. He's like, you're full crap. Well, thanks so much for coming on to the show today. This is our Zoomcast, is what we've dubbed it now. And we're going to just be talking today a little bit about Sherwin and how he got into the real estate biz and what he does for that, how we know each other, and then we're going to get into some data and things about Las Vegas real estate market. So, I mean, we could start maybe with just, why don't you start with you talk a little bit about how you got into real estate and how that journey looked to get to where you are now.
18 years now, maybe 19, been quite some time. So
when they had the books, the listing books?
No, we had the internet by that point. Yeah, but we still faxed offers. So yeah, don't be talking smack, man. I know you. What were you doing in 2004?
Yeah. You still faxed offers though when you were starting?
Dude, I can tell you right now. Hopefully nobody has this number. 702-951-7653 was my fax number. I still had it memorized because for the better part of 7 or 8 years, you had to like constantly be like, fax it to me, fax it to me, fax it to me, fax it to me.
Wow.
So got into real estate. Yeah. I was in network administration and management. And then my job, I was either going to go back to what I did in college, which was either like manage fast food restaurants because I hated tech, or my sister said, you should do real estate. And so I went with real estate. Kind of an easier to go. I mean, I could have done what I did in high school, but wait, this is being recorded. I'm not admitting to anything. But I would say that in a span of like 4 or 5 months, my choice was either Vegas or Phoenix. Okay. And I keep telling people the story where I went to Vegas, it was like 106. And then I went to Phoenix, it was 114. And that temperature difference is the only reason why I'm in Vegas and not in Phoenix.
Wow. I mean, it makes sense. It's a notch up in Phoenix. Yeah. It really is. And I've done both too. And when I moved to Vegas, I mean, Vegas just has got a lot to do, and now they have football teams. Stuff that used to be the one differentiator for me. It was like, well, there's no football team here. There's no this, those were some things that were strikingly different. Now Vegas has everything.
We're Stanley Cup champions, baby. And WNBA champions.
Yes. Cool,
all
man.
Day. So for those who want to talk smack about the Golden Knights, with Vegas born, please watch your mouth. Be the champs.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. I know nothing about hockey until the Knights came here, but
Yeah. I mean, I was zero interested until the Knights got there, and I think I'd already left or was just leaving or whatever. I mean, I pay attention loosely at least now because I'm like, sweet.
So I do have to ask you, I've been wanting to ask you a question. Figured perfect time for the podcast. You may have mentioned it for your Zoomcast. For a while, you could not name your team. The only thing you can use is like your last name, and that's the reason why I remember you said you changed your last name. Right. And then 2 years later, they went back to said, oh, you know what? You can go ahead and start using, DBAs.
Fictitious names, DBAs, yeah.
And so for the longest time, you had to be Hasselman.
Well,
but then you couldn't do the Black Owl because Vegas, Nevada forced you to use a last name. You couldn't have a DBA. And then so you did the whole thing because if anybody watching, Shay's all in. And he went all in. And then 2.5 years later, it passed that said, oh, you know what? Yeah, you can do DBAs. And you're like, I always wondered, you're like, really? Now you, after all the paperwork I have to fill out?
It's funny. Well, yeah, shoot, I'm not changing my name again. And I actually like having the last name Black. That makes my life a lot easier. That's way easier to spell on the phone. We're always on the phone and we're writing contracts and stuff. So instead of telling somebody how to spell Hasselman with two N's on the end, H-A, S as in Sam, S as in Sam, E-L, M as in Mary, A, N as in Nancy, N as in Nancy. And they're like, whoa, can you do that again? I'm like, sure. H-A, and I'm like, gosh. So Black is easier. I just say, yeah, my name's Shay Black. Shay, S-H-A-Y, Black like the color. And they're like, okay. Sorry. They're like, Black like the color. What other kind of black would it be? And I'm like, just making sure, man. I don't want any mix-ups here. So it's funny. So yeah, they did fix that in Vegas, but you know what? I am still, believe it or not, getting harassed about my name currently in California now. So what did they do? So California had it so if you could have a random word in your name, as long as it had your last name in it and the group or team in it, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And so I had Black Owl Group. That worked. That when I changed my name legally to Black, that was okay. And then a year or two later from that, they changed it. You can't have a random word in it. It can only have your name and whatever. So I'm doing a DBA in California as we speak.
Oh, that sounds like a pain. But,
fifth time I've tried to do it in California. It's really the one that's harassed me more than even Nevada, even though Nevada had the actual rule.
Yep. It's just strange how that kind of works out. But I was always curious about that because I was like, huh. I thought the first person I thought, because I remember you were like, I'm changing my last name. I'm like, why? And you're like, because I want my name to be. I'm like, dude, that's commitment. I give it to you. All right, good to go. Because my last name is Escanuela, so God knows that's a nightmare.
Yeah, I'm sure everybody. I messed it up when I even introduced you. I said Escanuela, but
that's okay. We don't go past names anyway, dude. We're not military. We're friends. I'm thinking about a month, sometime in October, the stupid. The Wolfpack, the infamous Wolfpack dinner at Jose.
Jose. That was like my birthday.
Yeah. Wait. So is it like no? So then when did it happen? What month?
January.
So it was coming. So it is coming up, and so then that means that the stupid the douche bus. I'm sorry, the party bus of us standing in front of the party bus to go to Hyde afterwards, and then
we went to.
Yeah, we went to Hyde at the Bellagio.
Oh, it was John Legend concert. They're in that casino.
Yeah. We went to Sahara to go eat on Bazaar Meats. Then we went to John Legend, and then apparently we weren't done being douchebags yet. So we got into a party. Went to Hyde, and if you remember, everybody's phone blowed up at 1:00 in the morning because people couldn't find. They don't remember where they parked their cars. Like it was like a disaster.
We had a crew.
Yeah, it was a mess.
Crew.
Everybody else was still alive from there, so we didn't party that hard.
I mean, it was like Craig Tan, it was like Czar Zangane, it was
Jason.
Elder, yes.
Yeah. What was that famous thing? But did you die? No, we didn't. Remember anything that happened?
Anyway, that leads into that's kind of how we met. We actually, you know what? We met at YPN. YPN is where we met.
Yeah, I think it was during when they used to have those day-long tech summits, and they bring in speakers and things of that nature. That's actually where I met Czar.
Yeah, and Czar brought a lot of us together. That's true. At a lunch or whatever at that Mexican place, I remember, was when we all first hung out.
It's all closed now.
Oh, really? Well, then after that, we started meeting regularly and hanging out all the time and having.
And then you were charged, and you went to California so they don't arrest. No, wait, that's not you. Never mind. Why would you go to California? You get extradited.
No, but then I went to California and started doing stuff there. But I've missed you. I've missed you since I've been gone.
Missed you, my friend. But you travel so much. I don't even know what city you're in.
Dude, I am looking forward to. I travel again. I'm coming to Las Vegas in October for the 2nd through the 5th. So if you want to kick it, let me know. And
that would be. Is it your meeting? Your whatchamacallit? Your stockholders?
Yeah, EXPCon. It's like the biggest convention for EXP. But then I come back, and then Thanksgiving we're going to New York City for the Macy's Day Parade or whatever. And
that's awesome.
I 6 months, no travel. At least no plan.
Supposedly.
Yeah, we'll see.
You're gonna travel, dude. You're basically you just converted your career as a truck driver into real estate and just moving about the country.
He's going to summits and conventions. I'm a serial convention goer.
Like a rock star. Anyway, so all right. So, well, yeah. That's
so tell us a little bit more about, okay, so you started in real estate at what company when you got to Vegas? And then
it was Prudential Americana Group at the time. Prudential Americana Group, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I was part of actually a team that ended up getting a massive amount of REOs. And I was, he actually got the HUD contract when it started going down. So that's where I was for the better part of 8 years, I think. And then in a certain year, for the Berkshire or Prudential at the time, Freddie Mac only allowed one person to have a REO contract per company. So even though Berkshire Hathaway at the time was huge with like 6 offices, one person already had the contract for HUD. Oh no, for Freddie Mac, and I was trying to nail it down at the time. And so I ended up going to a different company for 3 years so I could nail down the contract. And that's kind of what it was. And then I moved over to Czar's company, Lux Estates.
Yeah.
For the best part.
Where were you right before Lux Estates?
It was Nevada Realty Solutions.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I went and did some REOs and some fun stuff and worked with a ton of buyers. For the better part of like 2010 to maybe 2017, I sold maybe 7 or 8 houses to owner-occupied people. Everybody else was investors. I had like a ton of investors just snatching everything up, and I didn't bother. I didn't have to work. Like, I didn't have to worry about floor plans. I didn't have to worry about feng shui. I didn't have to worry about anything. It was like, this is how much the house is. This is how much repairs it needs. This is how much it rents for. Okay, buy it.
So like David Brunel knows exactly what's up with all that. Right, David?
Yeah.
David's familiar with REO stuff. Very familiar. Yeah. So anyway, then to Czar's company, Lux Estates and Lifestyles, right?
Yeah, and then which is now the agency. And that's where we are.
And how many years have you been there now, roughly?
Technically,
including Lux.
I had a 2-year gap where I was over at our good friend Craig Tan's place at Huntington and Ellis. Yeah. Right. And then I went back to the agency.
Cool.
So technically,
companies.
Their gap, it's like 8 years with Czar.
Yeah, 8 years.
8 years with
All
Czar.
Great companies. Craig is amazing. His company is amazing. Huntington and Ellis. The agency I don't know about, except it's kind of famous as it is. Everybody kind of knows that it's
from the TV show.
Exactly.
But
of course, I knew Lux was cool with Czar, and
yeah. But it's a global company, obviously. Think more like Douglas Elliman or like Engel Volkers. They still have a luxury boutique feel to it, but essentially it is a global company but the difference is the owner knows every single broker and most agents. Like Mauricio goes to all grand openings. Czar goes to almost all the grand openings whenever they grand open their location. I think they opened 67 new offices in different cities globally, international and local.
Total or lately?
Huh?
That 67 number is how many are total offices right now, or?
No, that's not how much they've opened, I think, in the last 18 months.
That's what I was wondering.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I know for a fact, for example, name a major city, and if I've seen Czar there, more than likely we have an office there.
Wow,
Austin,
very cool.
DFW, Vegas, St. George's grand opening. Just it's a culture, and again, rule number 1 for them is no assholes. There's also a couple of rules that we follow. I think every year, in the office, they give you a little award. People vote on what you represent on their 10 most, and I got tells it like it is the one I got.
Surprise!
Well, it's easy to just be like, yeah, that's a stupid thing. I don't downplay people, but when they tell me something, I'm like, that doesn't match the facts. You're full of shit, and I don't bother saying that.
Yeah, no, that's what I've always loved about you. You just tell it straight. You're not being a dick about it. You're just saying, no, that's bullshit. Or, no, you're not looking at it right. Look at this. Or what about this part? And then,
Yeah, but I listen to people because that's all it is. It's not like I'm smart enough to actually pull the data. So I pull that for real estate. I'll pull information from everywhere, and everything I go. I recall when the pandemic first hit, I was like, we're going to drop 10, 15%. And then I spoke to two people that said, look, they're pumping in trillions of dollars into the economy. They're not going to let the economy go down. And they're going to do this, this, and that. We still have a shortage of supply. Look at the land. They're not releasing BLM land here in Vegas. And they talked me into believing that, even though I was like, we got to drop because people are losing their jobs. And then they talked about forbearance. They talked about all these things. And I looked at it. Then he showed me the data and information. I was like, you know what? He's right. The market's not coming down. And so
this
I don't
recently?
No, in 2020 when the pandemic first hit.
2020.
So I don't have a problem. People assume that I'm hard-headed. No, I don't have a problem changing my mind when a data is presented to me. What I have a problem is when people argue with me about, like, oh, that's wrong. You're like, well, no, it's not wrong. It's what came out of it. Like, I don't predict too much the future. I talk about here's what happened compared to last year, compared to 10 years ago. Here's what happened the last 10 years. Here's what happened in the last 5 years. Here's the last 3. Like, I look at those numbers and go, your data makes no sense. Like, you know, we won't say names, but I remember I still give people a hard time. Like, oh yeah, in 2013, they're like, oh my God, the builders are offering this, this, and this. The market's going to crash like 2008. I was like, in 2013, you're telling people market's going to crash. Can you imagine if somebody like sold because they believed that the market was going to crash based on like the 1 month worth of small information that they gave them?
Right.
Like, how much
you can manipulate data by showing very small windows. That's right. But if you're looking at it.
Yeah, at the end of 2021, they were like, we had a 300% increase in foreclosure filings. I was like, wow, looked it up, 36 to 109. Dude, seriously? 300%. It's a 300% increase. It's 109, bro. Like,
that's like that Patrick Mahomes meme that came out saying that, you know, he is undefeated against whoever and has
I posted that one. So it said was after Thursday night game, it was like he has like more interceptions than touchdowns. He has he's never beaten that what's his face from the Detroit Lions quarterback. Like it was like more sacks or intercept. Like it was talking bad. It was like this guy's horrible.
6 per game averaging.
Yeah, like 6 yards per game average. Horrible, worst quarterback in the league.
Perfect example though of showing a small window of data and trying to say that that's what it is. So. No.
Yeah. I mean, was that was a quarterback? Joe Burrow. Like he's a great quarterback, but like Joe Burrow has more threw more receptions to more interceptions than Aaron Rodgers threw completions. But Aaron Rodgers got played 4 plays, ran twice, got hurt on the 4th play, and it's like anyway. Yeah. So you got to be careful with data.
That's a great segue into let's talk about some data. But before we do that, one last thing. Tell people a little bit about what you do and who you work with. Like, do you have certain neighborhoods that you work with? Do you focus on luxury? Do you focus on, what is it that you do? Like, so if somebody's looking for a filter in Las Vegas and they
really crazy to say, it's going to sound like a sales pitch, but Clark County, which is Henderson, Nevada, North Las Vegas, as big as we are, we're not that big, right? Like we know about communities, like certain places, like if you're in San Diego, you can't be like a Del Mar expert and then be like a Chula Vista expert. It's like 2 different worlds and so many different.
I sold in all of those, in Encanto and Ramona.
I remember Encanto, and you didn't get shot.
Santa Fe.
What I'm saying is like knowing
typically
neighborhood. Yeah, so Clark County is like Vegas is really a small town. We all run into each other eventually. So I'm familiar with Vegas, and I could say luxury, but here's what happens. I have clients who buy multi-million-dollar houses or homes or 1 or 2. The rest, they buy multiple investment properties. So when people say, oh, you do luxury, I go, you know what? I got a gentleman who I sold a $2 million house to. He bought $6 million worth of real estate from me. One $2 million house and a buttload of houses at $4 million worth. And so
it's like 300,000 each or something.
Yeah. And so it's not like I have high net worth clients, but they don't snatch up $10 million houses, $9 million. They just buy one and the rest is, clients. And then they have friends or employees because it's self-employed or they own companies. I get their employees. Those guys aren't getting paid 7 figures like him, so they're buying entry level. So I'm in the spectrum of that. But because I've worked so much with investors, if somebody's looking for an investment, I can almost off the top of my head nail down like a zip code area. I can tell you how much it is. Like if you give me a price point where it is, I can tell you how much a rental is, and I can nail down like a return on it. Within half.
So you would say that you're definitely an expert in investment properties.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
And you also work with high-end net worth and luxury clients. I know you do because, when I first started, I was in guard-gated, luxury real estate. I joined a team doing that for my first parts of being in real estate. And but then that just makes sense. We did a lot of work in networking and events and galas and stuff and events in like bridges and
networking. You did a lot.
Stuff. Yeah, right. So
Rob Jensen.
It's more fun. Yeah, Rob Jensen is who I worked with in the beginning.
That's how we ended up in a newspaper.
That's right. At one of his parties.
Broker opens. Yeah, man, my memory is on point, dude.
Cool. Yeah. No, we used to crash parties. Remember, we used to go show up to events that we weren't invited to all the time.
I have no idea what you're talking about. As far as I'm concerned, we were invited anywhere we showed up.
That's what we said. That was our MO. And nobody was mad that we were there.
Yeah, we were suited and booted and ready to roll.
Yeah.
Well, I was. You were still wearing the same thing with the...
No, I wore suits back then. I wore suits. now I wear polos. Golf polos.
Hey, if you put your name on it somewhere, every single polo you buy, every suit you buy is now a tax write-off versus just a regular purchase.
I still write it off anyway, but most of mine for work.
Did you just admit to tax fraud in your own Zoom call?
It's a uniform. It's my uniform. I define it. I'm the owner of this business. Anyway, I have ones that say Black Owl. Like a ton of them. A ton of them that say Black Owl. But no, I have Wise Agent Society that is... So I have two companies, right? I have my coaching and consulting, mentoring companies, the Wise Agent Society, which is what you're here on, giving value to people that watch that. And then the Black Owl Group is what for my retail sales companies.
Nice.
So now what? Do I put one on both sides? I don't know. Do I just wear a different shirt every other time that has one or one? I don't know.
Make sure LLC buys everything, bro, and you only wear it for work.
There you go. I'll get a magnet pin, like name tag or something.
There you go, dude. There you go.
Okay, well, let's enough about the fun stuff. This other stuff is fun stuff too. The data to me is fun. I know data is fun to you too because
I love that.
How we get information and we can tell a story about what's actually happening in a real estate market and in any situation. So let's start talking Las Vegas stuff. And do you want to give a general overview, or do you want to just throw up the graphic already? Or
just take a look at it. It makes life a lot easier for both of us. So in our world, data is king. Mainly because of the simple fact that it gives us the information. So this is just the housing report for August, right? So if you can look at this as units sold right there, it says 2009. It's up from last month because we had a rough month last month. Just so you know, I track weekly, and I'm going to tell you right now, we are going to probably, where it says median price right there at 447 and change. That's still up from where we ended in 2022. And I told you earlier, like for example, at the end of 2021, the average median price units sold in single family homes was 425. It ended in no matter what you say during the year, by the time it ended in 2022, it was 425. January, February, March of the first quarter of this year, 425. It did not change. Last month it was at 450, which is, peaking, which is normal for it to go up.
Summer, right? Second quarter. Second quarter is the biggest. Yeah. Exactly.
So the biggest factor when you look at the housing snapshot here is literally the units available and the amount of new listings. We are short. We're down 50%. Look at the units available, 3,800. And so people say, well, the units sold is down. The reason units sold is down. This is
for the month, right? This is for the month.
Yeah, for the month. But even for the year. But the reason why the units sold is down is simply because there's nothing to freaking buy. So
there's no inventory.
There is no inventory. But here's the part. The condo and townhouse units. Look at that number. It says $287,000. It's up. Units sold is up. And I'm going to show you last month's numbers for...
Real quickly. So inventory's down. We said that. Why? Why is inventory down?
Well, there's three reasons. One, the amount of people moving here. Obviously, they're not up and they're staying put. Number two, the interest rates. There is no
the interest rates are making people stay put, right? If we have a 2.5%, 3.5% interest rate,
we don't have move up buyers. Typically,
7% interest.
So here's what we're going to look at here, just for fun. We should have the annual statistics report. There we go. Here's the annual. So if you look at the numbers here, when I said look at, this is the This is your single family residence. This is what it actually, where it says 425 in the second line right there. Yeah. That's what it actually closes for. What it's listed for, nobody gives a damn. Average list price is worthless because it counts everything. Average sales price is what matters. But if you look at here, this number right here, look at where we ended 220. This is
I don't see it.
I'm going to highlight it for you. So units sold, median price of the units sold right there. Look at the number here that's going to come across. Whoop, come on. The 186K you see there?
Yes.
Right there. And the 242K 2021. And then the 247K. These are the average sales price for condos and townhouses.
Okay.
So you'll notice that it's gone up. So this is why I know when people say, is there a crash coming? Well, when single family residence units sold is down, it's one, because affordability is getting to be too high, right? People just can't afford certain price point, especially with the interest rate. Mortgage rates at 8%, 7.5%. It gets to be pretty ugly. So what happens is a lot of people just aren't buying. They didn't quit buying. What they've decided to do is, well, you know what? Maybe my wish list is too big. Maybe right now I'm going to settle for a condo and townhouse instead because that's what's affordable.
Oh, they're moving to that because it's affordable.
And that's the reason why median sales price for condos and townhouses is up, because the demand is so high. Look, units sold 640. Amount of new listings, 724. Look how short we are. We're selling 60%. We're selling 90% of all new listings coming on the market in the condos and townhouses. Mm-hmm. In the single family residence here, if you remember, $600 difference. That means we're selling 70% of all listings hitting the market. So 2,600 units, but we're selling about 2,009 per. So basically what it's telling you is 70% of all new homes are still selling. Does that sound like the market is crashing anytime soon?
No.
So there's demand. The demand is insane. So because the demand is there, that's where demand is high. Exactly. But affordability is down. And when affordability is down, people are going to go ahead and just see what they can settle for. That's why average sales price for condos and townhouses are high. And so here's what,
Question. So if inventory is low, interest rates are high, is it the best idea to wait until interest rates go down so you can go buy a house?
So if you're waiting for the interest rates to go down, and I'll stop screen sharing because let's go back to you. Okay. So if interest rates are where they are now, you still got to live somewhere. The problem we run into now is we have our rent in the valley has gone up to a point where mortgage and rent, like on a 2-bedroom condo and a 2-bedroom apartment, is eye to eye. So it makes no sense. So an average 2-bedroom right now is running around 16, depending on what side of town you are, it can get to 16, 1700.
I think I saw Aaron Gordon talking about that actually.
Yes. So the
affordability, the rent to mortgage difference it's not actually saving money or very little by owning right this second.
Yeah, but in 5 years you have zero into your rent, and you'll also, let's say you buy something and you buy a $300,000 townhouse. Let's go with the median townhouse, which is more expensive than a condo, less expensive than a single family residence. Let's go with $300,000. A 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhome that you can snatch up for $300,000 will rent between $1,800 to $2,100, as high as $2,400 if you're in Summerlin or like Green Valley type area. So even
you get those for 300 and some thousand,
you'll snatch them up, but you got to be quick because everybody knows the numbers out.
Okay.
So if you snatch one up, but again, this is the general number. So in that sense, it makes sense to purchase. Now, where the rates are right now is extremely high. Where I don't want to talk because if somebody was listening to this in 9 months, they're going to talk about how wrong I am. But as of today's date, we're at 7.75, roughly 725 score, 20% down, yada, yada, yada. You're borrowing about $8 per thousand. And if you put down 20% on $300,000, you're going to be about where rent is. So you can either rent or buy with the same amount. Affordability is
the equity and the tax write-offs.
And the fact that if or when interest rates do go down, you can refinance with a lower rate. The problem I had before when people was like, marry the house, date the rate. In other words, you're just going to refinance when rates were at 6. The problem with that is people kept on saying, well, when it goes down in a year, like there is no prediction for a year. Okay, economically, I've given up trying to predict what the Fed is doing. They're using year-old data. They're like, oh, well, for example, the CPI numbers came out yesterday or the other day, 3.8%, much higher than expected. Mainly, and it was mainly the consumer price index. They were trying to get it to 2, but the problem with the 3.8 was most of that number came from the fact that gas prices hit a high. Well, it's summertime.
Oh, yes, they have been going up. Yeah, that's true too. It's travel time.
Yeah, and so people, and again, we don't control fuel globally, right? It's controlled by markets that are out of our hands. It doesn't matter who's president, who's in gas prices does not care.
Saudis and stuff, yeah.
Nobody cares who's in the White House. None of that matters. So when you're talking about buying and selling, it's individually. You always got to think about, okay, am I pushing my limit now where I work? Okay, well then, do you expect a raise in the next 5 years? And most people will be like, yeah, I expect a raise. Okay, great. So if rent keeps going up and you're making more money, but then you're just putting it into rent, wouldn't it be nice as your income increases, but your one fixed income of a mortgage or household cost remains exactly the same?
Yeah, big benefit. But also, so what I was getting at with interest rates going down, does that make competition go down and house prices go down? If interest rates go down?
We both know that's not. I mean, we both know that the mortgage rates, the one thing Barbara Corcoran video came out, this is if the rates go down to 5%, people are going to go in a feeding frenzy. But here's the thing. I really believe that if the rates were anywhere near the 5s, we're going to have a lot more inventory because people who are moving, who want to do a move up buy are going to be able to now justify from 3.5%, 3.25% to 5.5% to them is reasonable. That's a jump that people can comprehend. But imagine 3 to 8% increase. I mean, that's a massive jump.
Yeah, that's a big. That knocks affordability out of the question in a lot of cases.
A lot of cases. So, I think Consumer Index comes out with the affordability rating. We've been bad since 2019, 2020 in Vegas, where they calculate average income and average household expense. It was getting to the point of unaffordability, and that's when our average sales price was $350,000 at 4.5%. 2020, 2019, 2020.
What's the average DOM, days on market, for single families and/or?
Okay, so it's split into 2 categories. 90% of all sales happen within the first 30 days.
Currently,
the first 30 days, 90% of houses sell in the first 30 days. Every sale happens in the first 30 days of the market.
Okay.
After that, it goes as high as 3.5 to 4 months. So you can either sell your house in the first 30 days. Now I exclude
price it correctly.
I exclude high-end luxury because it's not like, and I'm talking over $3 million when high-end, over $2.5 million. But under $2 million, they are moving within 30 days or staying on the market for an average of 137 days. But if you do the overall average, it shows up as like 87, 88, which is misleading because all it's doing is averaging the houses that are taking forever to sell. And then you have the people, then the ones that
there's a lot of outliers.
The multiple buyers.
The majority of them are 30 or under. It's cool that you broke it down like that because most people just go off the other one's fine to use as a loose number to gauge off of. If it's moving up or down, you can watch the movement at least.
Yeah.
But I like this is because it's more accurate. That's a smart way to do that.
Yeah. Pull up MLS and days on market, like put in pending contingent. There's a category that says DOM, days on market. Look it up. It will say like 1 through like 10. You'll see a bunch of them within like 10 days under contract. And then you scroll all the way to the end when you do it, then it's like 137, 140, 100. Like it's all 100. It's massive gap between.
So they're probably priced wrong. There's probably something wrong with the house. So if the house is priced right, it's a good house. It doesn't really matter the area because it just has to be priced for the area, right? So then those are all still flying off in 30 days or less.
Under $1 million.
As well, that makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, and again, it matters. Like, is it easy to show? What's availability? Is the house presentable? Like these still matter.
And here's the thing: so with interest rates being so high, these people are trying to still get the crazy prices from 2 years ago or whatever. When you could just make up a number and that's what it would go, and it would go overpriced and blah blah blah. Well, people have a little bit of discretionary time or ability because they're going to be paying premium dollar on their money for the interest rate and whatnot. So they're not going to just be like, okay, yeah, whatever you say. So then the people that aren't being at least reasonable with their listing prices and what they're doing and the condition of the house, whatever, well, then they're just going to wait. They're not going to just sell it just because they want to.
I have people who've been waiting since 2015, 16 for the market to crash. So let's just go with that. Again, that's where the market is, and that's where we are here in Vegas. Our inventory is down 50, 60%. So you go by annually, amount of
year over year?
Yeah, year over year. But amount of units sold is down by, okay, I have to remove 2021 because that's when rates were 2.5%, 3%. That was the biggest one. In 2021, the amount of units sold in Clark County was 48,000 for the year. Condos, single family residence, townhouses for the year.
What is it normally?
Massive amount, right?
Is that like double normal?
No. It's we average about 33 to 35,000.
Okay, so it was up, but not
13,000 up. Let's see, on 35,000, 13,000. That is approximately 369. About 35% higher in overall sales.
That's a big jump though in 1 year.
That's an outlier. But if you literally break down 10 years worth, there's this 1 year that's like odd. So you kind of, I don't, people say, well, you can't take it out. Well, you kind of have to. Like if you take, because you got to overall like general market. So you pull the 1 year out and you look at the overall market in a 10-year span. You'll notice we average about 35,000, 34,000, 32,000. That's about where we end up. All right, bro. See you later, David Brownell.
David.
So that's what we're looking at. You look at that number here in Vegas, get rid of that stupid 1 year. We average about 33 to 38. Now we went up to 38,000 as a population skyrocketed in 2018, 2019. All population control, these are all data. So then you are averaging about 34,000 is what the breakdown is after 2013. Right? Last year, because of the interest rate skyrocketing, you notice the amount of units sold drop to 28, 29, 30, almost 29,000. I have the number there. But because of that drop, people are like, oh my God, it's insane. But they're comparing it from the year before. We had 48,000. So they're thinking we're down 60%. No, on average, we're down 20%. But what they don't point out is the inventory year over year over the 10-year span, down 45%. So there's nothing to buy. So for those people looking for a crash, in order for a crash to happen, you have to have inventory to fucking crash. You have to buy something. So if there's nothing for sale, what's crashing?
And not only that, but everybody has, what is it, 30% equity in their house or more?
Nobody is.
I don't know the exact number, but it's
there's people that still has to sell. There's people that, well, but the number was, I think you said,
but there was
80%. 80% are either paid off in cash or have 50% or more in less in mortgage. Like some insane number, like 70-something% or some, like a huge chunk of people
who are not in a bad spot with their houses. If they could lose 20-30% or whatever and still be fine, or before they get that crazy, they would just sell it. And the inventory still goes well. So there's
your
like
audience. Ask to your audience. So there's a homeowner you're talking to, and you're trying to convince them to sell a house, but they're in a 3% interest rate. They bought it for $500,000. It's worth $600,000, just random number, right? Their mortgage payment's probably $1,800 a month, and they want to go move up to the new buy, and they want to go buy that $800,000 house. Well, that $800,000 house, their mortgage is now going to be like $6,000 or $5,000, some insane dollar amount.
Oh, it's $6,000, yeah. Which used to be like more on $1 million. Now it's on $800,000.
Yeah. So then, what's his point? Why would he put it on the market? Why would he sell? At that point, he's gonna be like, "Oh, rent's $2,800 in my neighborhood. I'll just collect $1,000 a month in rental income."
Right.
So it's a matter of just looking at the overall number. So in my market in Clark County, I believe that in order for us to crash, we have to have inventory to crash. You saw the inventory. There's 3,500 total homes on the market.
Yeah.
How many of those people do you think have to sell? Remove the multi-million-dollar ones.
Yeah.
How many have this? Like, I have to sell. No matter what, I have to sell. Let's drop the price. I'll take whatever first offer I can get my hands on.
5% or less, I would say, or maybe less than that.
So you're talking about 500 homes per month. If let's say 20% of the houses, that's generous, right? 700 homes a month have to sell, and so they're selling below market. Let's say they're selling 10% below market. Instead of the house being worth 450, they're selling for 410. How much you think that's going to impact? Remember, the other 80% of sales that are selling for 450, and then now you have. There's nothing. I want to believe that the market's coming down. I do. Like it has to, but there's nothing to crash it. And there's
builders are so far behind. If they doubled or tripled production, I mean, I guess you'd have to pick one of those. I don't know the right numbers. Okay, so let's say doubled production for the next 5 years. They wouldn't even touch what's needed for demand. Not the baby boomers, the millennials have such a huge number of people that are buying. They're the biggest pool of buyers out there, period.
They are now,
and they have, and now interest rates are high, so maybe some of them are doing alternative things than buying at this moment, and they're probably waiting for the rates to go down, which is just going to be worse for them in the end. So what I always say, and what do you think? Tell me what you think is, if you can afford the interest rate right now, do it, buy the house. And then when interest rates do adjust later, because they always do, they go up and down. We don't know when. We can't pick that. But when they do go down, demand will go further up. Inventory will probably go further down. But you said, and I like your idea that it could actually even go up, because then people could at least slide sideways or up on their purchases. So either way, still, it's not going to like totally make up for the amount of inventory. People. Buy now if you can. Now's a great time to buy because there's not as much competition.
Well, remember that.
I'm not saying do it.
When's the best time to buy a house? 10 years ago.
That's true. That is freaking true.
So your sense, like, when did you start real estate officially? Like
2011, I think.
Okay, so you were kind of there during the crash when the inventory was insane, market was coming down. And so people look at that and think, oh, it's going to happen again. It's like, okay, so you want something that's considered to be once in a lifetime that hasn't happened globally since 1929 during the Great Depression. You think that's just going to happen in your lifetime all of a sudden? Like that's what
everything is different. The lenders, the loans, like it's not interest only loans. There's no jump in 6% interest.
If you can afford your mortgage right now, under the presumption, because money grows, right? Under the presumption that you're going to get a raise at your job annually, even if it's small. If you make $80,000 a year and you get a small 4% increase every year, that's from 84,000. And then 89,000, 94. Do you be at $100,000 in approximately 4 years, if I'm not mistaken? 5 years, right? But imagine if you can afford your mortgage where your income is now. It's affordability. If you can afford it now, you're going to afford it in 5 years, and it's going to be cheaper in 10 years. There are people who foreclose. If I told you there was foreclosures in the 80s, you're like, oh yeah, there's always been foreclosures. But if I told you the average mortgage payment in the 1980s was $490, you'd be like, what? That makes zero sense. How could they foreclose on their house? It's because affordability, like, it's a matter of, like, to us, $500 makes no sense. But in 1978, it's
$1978, that makes sense. That was a lot of money.
Yeah, just based on the numbers and the figures.
Well, check this out. We got a few minutes left. We're getting close here. But what I was going to say is, that I'm curious about, and I'm sure other people might be too. I haven't been in the market there. I have people that work for me in the same Las Vegas market. So if people do need help, go to Sherwin, or you can talk to me too, whichever you need to do. But I'm not there, so my team members know way more than me. But Can you tell me like some of your favorite or hot neighborhoods that are cool or hot or new? It could be luxury. It could be just hot. Like when I was there, like Summerlin. And like the Paseos. What's that?
Hasn't changed much. You got to remember, demand remains. So Summerlin is still a hot market because that's what people hear. They hear Summerlin, and that's what they come through. So Summerlin right now probably looks more like California, like insanely. And then Henderson, because parts of Henderson, which is where was considered like the second safest city in the country, like they did some studies on it. So Henderson is a hot topic. But where it's blowing up is the Northwest and the Southwest. Because that's where
Centennial Hills, the Northwest was sick.
Yes, because that's where land was available to build.
Yeah.
It's where they can build. And so the Southwest
Providence is in the Northwest, and
Providence.
What's in the South?
Well, technically Southwest there's a Summerlin, right? There's Summerlin South being developed over that Bishop Gorman where Rhodes Ranch is and all that. Down south over by Mountain's Edge, where it used to be one lane, and once you get past Fort Apache, Durango. all blew up now. It's all like 3 or 4 lanes each way. And so that side of town is
freaking nice.
Is huge. So basically the best way to do it is the hot spot is where people can buy and people can afford, but they still know where Summerlin is because that's where commercial or like Green Valley, Henderson, people want to be able to be close to restaurants, grocery stores, shopping, and that's going to be predominantly going to be where the money was already, which is the Summerlin area, Green Valley, Henderson area. Those 2 people are competing. And then you're going to start seeing the Southwest. There's a new casino in Durango that's opening up called Durango Casino. That's where IKEA is. That's where Uncommons is. That's where all these amazing.
I know where IKEA is.
Yeah, IKEA.
There's going to be a new casino, like a big one, like a Red Rock.
Yeah, Durango. It looks like Red Rock.
No way.
Yeah.
When does that open?
Grand opens in October, November, I think. This is coming up in a month or 2.
So cool if it was open when I got there. We could go check it out.
I wouldn't say no, but then you got to remember also there's Uncommons. Uncommons is like a commercial live, work, play. Think Green Valley Ranch, but like without a casino. And then that area is blowing up because that's where land was. So south on Durango, you'll see developments happening on both sides of the street. But there's commercial, there's restaurants, there's grocery stores, there's banks, there's all these places opening. And that's where the development is. So when you say hotspot, it's going to be a year and a half ago.
Hotspots. Sounds like
hotspots is basically where you can find properties. With 3,000 houses throughout the entire county.
So lots of people are moving to Vegas, like the popular spots, like, what is everybody talking about? Summerlin was big when the Golden Knights practice arena got in, and then that baseball field, the what's called 51's the new one. I haven't been to one of those games. I want to go to one of those.
Yes, the ironic part about that is it's going to be one of the first times where the minor league team or the major league team, because the A's are supposed to be moving here. The 51's is the A's minor league team. So.
Oh, yeah. Cool.
So now they're going to.
So, I mean, that was, remember when I was there, all that was developing and was there. And so that made it was popular. People wanted to go there because it had all that live, work, play stuff all in such a
downtown Summerlin
area. And Henderson, too.
Village, Park, Queens Ridge. It's, again, where you can buy and then be close to the freeways, be easy access to where you got to go if you have to go to work. I mean, you remember, 55% of all employment is still tied to the Strip.
Yep.
So 1 out of every 55 tied to the Strip. It could be, they don't necessarily work. It could be the food. It could be the catering. It could be like the linen delivery. It could be everything that needs to deliver, the liquor, everything that's happening. All right. It's still tied to the Strip. So, and so let's say, God, I don't know, a dealership, right? The dealership still, every person that they sell a car to, 1 out of every 2 works at the Strip directly. So technically their income is tied to the Strip, right?
Yes. That's the thing about the economy in Vegas. It's tied to
hospitality.
Yeah, greater things than even the national economy. So when people don't have extra money to blow and go to Vegas and blow money, then that affects everybody on, just like you said that. So it'll affect the people in their income maybe, and then that'll affect the car dealers, which will affect. Yeah, that's funny how it's all tied.
And that's where where real estate agents fail to pay attention to the Visitors Authority. So the Las Vegas, Nevada Visitors Authority launches data. Who's coming, how much the average person is selling, how much the hotel rates are. They launch this every year, and then they have small breakdowns quarterly. If you pay attention to that, you can understand. Because remember, we just did you Formula One is coming, right? It's a multi-billion-dollar event coming. And then we also have after that, if you look at Raider Stadium, they came out with the recent data. The value of the Oakland Raiders went from $5.2 billion to like $6.8 billion. It is the number 1 event stadium in the country.
Wow.
Because people love coming to Vegas.
So they come and they catch a game. They plan their trip around catching a game, I'm sure.
Exactly. Our average sales ticket here, even though the Raiders, I don't care who's watching, even though the Raiders suck, average ticket sales is high because a lot of away teams come in and be like, oh, my team's playing. Let's make a weekend out of it in Vegas. No disrespect. And I love, like let's say San Francisco. Great. The Niners are doing well. But come on, man. Like, you know how far the stadium is? You know where you might have to park? You know the fact that your car might get broken into randomly and nobody can, it's like so normal. And so
you go to Vegas. It's a bad place right now in general. Nobody really wants to go hang out there too much anyway.
Fly to Vegas, Uber to your hotel, Uber to the game, drink, chill, nothing closes. You can party until 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. on a Saturday night. Screw it. Why not? Whereas
I just went to a little casino here for a wedding this last weekend.
Yeah.
And they did last call. And I was like, a last call? And I was like, that's a thing? I didn't even think of it. And they're like, yeah, it's Iowa law. And I'm like, casino? Like, that is weird to me.
So we have 24. We're a 24-hour town, so people make an entire trip out of it, and so that's the reason why people, come to Vegas. And again, we can handle the crowd, right? The last weekend concert, we had Beyonce, some country singer, and somebody else. They sold out the stadium, they sold out T-Bone Arena, and they sold out MGM Grand Arena, and there was every venue was damn near sold out the weekend, and yet the hotels held everybody just fine.
Oh yeah, that's why it's a great destination for all that. Well, anyway, we're out of time now.
Thanks for having me.
How about you just give me like a one wrap-up sentence or to end it with of just overall, what you want to wrap it up in a little bow.
So listen, real estate is studied and followed, and data is collected. You can look at data over the last 30, 40 years when you make your decision. You can look at the income in the last 30 or 40 years and make your decision whether it's time for you to buy or sell. Because if overall the trajectory is this way or this way, in overall in the last 10, 15 year span. It's never been 20 years, 10 years this way, whether it's real estate or income in general, average sales price or average income. It's always here. So if you're looking to seriously wondering if you're waiting for the downturn, if you buy here, even if there's a small downturn here, eventually it'll be here where your income, as your income goes up and your mortgage doesn't change, that's why it's always considered to be a good buy. If you can afford it and you don't become house poor.
That's right. That's exactly it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. It's always fun catching up with you. Hope to hang out with you a little bit when I get there. What is it? In a couple weeks.
Yep.
Also want to just tell everybody out there that we have our shows 2 times a week. We have the Sharpen the Saw on every Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time. And then we have our weekly real estate news on Thursday at 11 a.m. Central Time as well. Kara, who do we have coming on just for next week on the shows?
Nick Emerson is coming on for Sharpen
San Diego. Probably going to talk 31 Exchange. Okay.
And I'm still working on somebody for Thursday.
Well,
but we will
if we
have
don't have
someone
Thursday, then yours truly will do it. But let's see how it goes. I'm happy to do it. People watch me and like to get other people. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Sherwin.
First knuckle out.
We'll see you soon, buddy. Peace out.